Haiti, an island nation of great natural beauty, of rugged mountains, fertile valleys and plains. Surrounded by the sparkling Caribbean Ocean, Haiti sits just 700 miles southeast of Florida and is one of the most beautiful islands in the world. But in the midst of this natural beauty is an ugly reality. Haiti is the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere, with 80% of its 9 million people barely surviving below the poverty line. 40% of its population is under the age of 15. Most are without education or medical care, and destined to a life of illiteracy and despair. But Haiti was not always this way. First discovered by Christopher Columbus in 1492, it became the first Spanish colony in the Western Hemisphere, and because of its fertile tropical land, at one time produced more wealth for Europe than all of the 13 American colonies combined. As part of the settlement of the French and Spanish War in Europe, the western third of the island was ceded to France in 1697. When the island's original inhabitants, the Taino Amerindians, died from harsh treatment and disease, the French brought slaves from West Africa to work the plantations. Ripped from their homes, they traveled only with what was in their heart and what was in their head. That was the voodoo religion. In 1791, the black slaves began to revolt against their French masters, burnt the plantations, and hid in the nearby mountains. They relied on voodoo for strength and unity. In 1804, France abandoned the island, and Haiti became the first black republic. But with their freedom came troubled times. The story of any nation is the story of its people. This is the story of one.
My name is Chantal. I was born in Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. This is my story. My family struggled for survival. I often went to sleep hungry. I was often sick. We did not have enough of anything. Like many Haitians, we begged and scavenged for everything. I wanted so much to help my family. But how? There was no school. Without a school, how could I read or write? If I could not read or write, how could I get a good job? The darkness we lived in was more than no education. My family practiced voodoo. The spirits were demanding, and I was always afraid. We could not find a way out. In the darkness of night, I could hear my mother pray. She would plead with God, "Changez la vie de monde," which means, God, change the life of my child. Please, God, changez la vie de monde. To say that my childhood became better is like saying the ocean is a tiny bit wet. God heard my mother's prayers. God sent new missions to our part of Haiti. Before, I went to bed hungry. Now, I was given a hot meal at school. Before, we drank polluted water. Now, the mission drilled a well in my village. I could go to the mission clinic. We had a good school and I was a good student. I learned about Jesus at school and the new church. My life was completely changed. We still had little money, but my meals, schooling, and healthcare were paid for by a sponsor. Incredible! I would not have believed a person in another country could love me so much. What could I give to them? With great happiness, I wrote letters of thanks to my sponsor. It is a rare privilege to go to school in Haiti. So I studied very hard. My mother was very proud of me. I went to high school at the mission and even dreamed about going to university. God made this dream come true. The mission sent me to nursing school, and now I am the director of the medical clinic at the mission. I'm amazed at how God rescued me. My life is totally changed. But I see many thousands of children in Haiti for whom there is no hope of a better life. When I lay down at night, I imagine their mothers praying like my mother prayed. Changer la vie du monde. Change the life of a child. And it becomes my prayer too, for the hungry, the sick, the illiterate, and spiritually enslaved children. Dear God, changer la vie du monde. Change the life of a child.